Vodacom has 5 African operations that together provide voice, data, messaging, broadband and converged services to over 40 million customers. In 2009, Vodafone Group acquired a majority stake in the company and it was listed on the JSE. It's building a new fibre optic network and has a market cap of 160 billion rand and a price earnings ratio of 19. The group expects full year headline earnings per share to jump up to 10% with the results due on the 21st of May. Actually, it said headline earnings per share up between 5 and 10%. Vodacom has benefited from the negative news flow in relation to MTN, and the share price has obviously escalated, gone higher. Your thoughts on the viability of this investment going forward? Has it run too hard?
Not yet. I do think of all the companies we're talking about, it probably has, maybe it's a bit of the safest bet at the moment. You know, the other companies that we're talking about probably have a bit more downside available and probably a bit more upside as well. So this is the safe bet. Vodacom, look, it was held back for many years, and while MTN was able to run through the whole world, Vodacom, due to the Vodafone relationship and the telecoms, you know, when Telecom had half of it here, Vodafone didn't want it to be expanding too much. It just wanted to be in South Africa, and therefore it was held back to a certain extent. And that could be an advantage right now in terms of that it's not being exposed to some of these issues that are elsewhere out there. With regards to Vodacom, at the moment here, South Africa probably it is its most important market by far. It has made moves into other parts of Africa, hasn't been as successful as MTN. But that being said, the South African market is doing reasonably well at the moment. Its earnings right now, as you mentioned, didn't say between 5 and 10% higher. Earnings per share between, I think, 20 and 25% higher. This is looking to be quite a strong company, a safer bet, and therefore, if you are looking for a safe place to put your money in this kind of industry, I would probably think Vodacom is a good idea.
And that's a convincing argument. A safe place to put your money in the current uncertainty.
Yeah. Look, when it came out of Telkom and the deal was finally consummated with some 11-hour kind of messing around, people thought, well, let's wait and see what they can deliver with earnings. People were saying, oh, the market's mature in South Africa. Well, they've consistently demonstrated excellent data sales growth, and they've jacked up the dividend yield to an enormous degree.
5%.
Still at 5%, notwithstanding the move from the share price from 50 or whatever it was to 110. So the yield is incredible. But it's kind of understandable, because when these big groups like Vodafone or Barclays or Walmart or whatever come here and buy these companies for big bucks, they've got to get the money back as quickly as possible. So they suck it all out in dividends, and that's what you can expect going forward. So the institutional market has reacted with joy. What a great stock. It pays such wonderful dividends.
I'm going to get you to pause right here. You own MTN and you don't own Vodacom. Is that the reality?
No, we own quite a lot of Vodacom for clients.
I stand corrected.
And we own them particularly, as I say, where the yield is desired and where people are really heavily into that stuff and they enjoy that. It's one of our key global investment themes, and internationally we hold stocks like Apple and Cisco and so on as well. Look, I mean, they are constrained. The business will only be as big as it can be in this market because the DRC is a total shambles. They're having a fight with a shareholder there.
But they could get their Africa strategy beyond Mozambique. The DRC right.
Look, they've got to somehow, I don't know why MTN makes money everywhere they go, but Vodacom cannot seem to make money in Mozambique and Tanzania. But be that as it may, there's a fabulous business here, and I, for one, do not believe that this business is mature at all, because as people get these iPhones, they use much more bandwidth, yada, yada, yada.
So it isn't ex-growth, this industry.
And it's a great stock. You can definitely own it. 107
Rand on Vodacom.
Look, it's run a bit, but I do think there's still some value in it. And especially with the earnings that have come out today that are quite nice. I mean, I do think if you want to be exposed to the sector, this is probably the safest way to get into it.
Would you still be getting into it right now, though? You make the point that it has run quite hard. You say that there is still a bit of value in it.
Yes.
107 Rand, isn't that a little rich? Yeah, 19 PE.
Yeah, it is a little rich here, but in terms of basically going forward, there's no reason to suspect that this industry, as Paul mentioned, it will not be one of the growth areas for the next, I don't know how many decades going forward, you know what I mean? Data demand is going to be increasing exponentially, one would say, probably as fast as, for instance, a few years ago, there's Moore's Law, that basically you'd be doubling speeds every 18 months or so. And apparently, broadband usage has also been going according to that law as well. And we're going to be seeing, forget about TVs, it's all going to be on your phone, on your computer, etc., going forward. Cloud computing, cloud storage of all your devices. Those are things that are going to be playing a huge part of your life, taking a bigger share of your wallet, in the future. And therefore, obviously, this is a sector you want to be exposed to. And if that's the case, you want to be in Vodacom.
There's another very interesting development, gentlemen, that is happening as we speak. Alan Knott-Craig took over as CEO of Cell C. I think that was on the 1st of April. I stand corrected. And he's coming in. There's a big bang behind Alan Knott-Craig if you speak to him about what he intends to do in this industry. Obviously, he was one of the founders of Vodacom. it could be a challenge in the pipeline for your favorite stocks. What do you think?
I don't think that at all. I think Cell C is in a very marginal position in this market. They've got a lot of debt. The capital structure is a mess. Their network has always been horrible. Everybody has a low view of them, other than
Couldn't
their
Alan not Craig
chief
be the
experience
game changer?
officer. Trevor Noah. I like Trevor Noah.
Could he be the game changer?
Trevor Noah.
Could the CEO,
I don't think
Alan
so.
not Craig, be a game changer in the
Look, I
industry?
stand to be convinced on this, but for
If he's
me
watching,
anyway,
I'm sure he's going to make a
a
point of
bad
convincing
business
you.
and a good management team, the bad business always wins out.
Yeah, look,
There must be a reason that Alan not Craig has decided to take up this position.
Look, it's a challenge data in life. I think they dropped Trevor Noah, actually. They don't no longer have him. So that's what reason.
The one good thing about Cell C is gone, Paul.
I think he mentioned the fact that you need to have a 20-25% market share in order to be viable in this market right now.
Alan not Craig mentioned that.
That's what it is for Cell C. And quite frankly, that would require, considering where Cell C is right now, which is significantly below that, a massive investment in infrastructure, which I don't think is happening. And anyone that's been using Cell C, and I'm unfortunately one of those people, has experienced, dropped calls on weekends, inability to get, to call this a connection when you're just anywhere outside town. And those are the kind of things that are due to infrastructure. If you don't have the infrastructure in place and you want to basically have a massive increase in the number of customers, it's just going to put more strain on your network in the first place.
I want to understand the example here. Do you still use Cell C?
Unfortunately, that's my number. It's so difficult to port these things nowadays, so you have to have it.
So you love Vodacom.
But I also have a Vodacom number as well, so I have two at the moment.
Now you confuse me. I wouldn't use you as an analogy of a South African consumer. Well, I suppose you are. Everybody has two numbers, don't they? That is the reality.
Yeah.
Right, so Vodacom, let's go back to that 107 Rand.
Yeah, speaking management and doing the little segue, I like the Vodacom management team very much. Peter Ace was the long-term assistant to Not Craig. He's very good, technically very good at the PR type stuff.
The market loves him.
CFO Rob Shooter went and joined Vodafone in the Netherlands, but Sipho Maseko, who was the BP South Africa chief, joined them as chief operating officer and is also a very talented executive. So I think there's a lot to like. Also, Vodafone, I think, is making some important advances in terms of its global strategy, which means that it could be in a position to kind of send back some of the benefits in terms of technology and other branding opportunities that they're currently busy with. So I think Vodacom will become Vodafone in its entirety in due course. And I think...
you mean the whole rebranding, not just the blue to the red, it's on its way, and that's what's going to happen.
Because why would you pump billions into Formula One under the Vodafone brand and then not get the benefits across all markets?
Although Vodacom has a lot of traction in South Africa, but I suppose Vodacom, tomato,
So I'm happy to buy them. I think 110 Rand, the best time to buy a winner is today.
Hot or not on Vodacom?
Most certainly hot.
Most certainly hot. Hot or not?
Hot enough, yeah.